Huawei Connect is a 3-day event dedicated to the power of AI and digital technologies. It's about how innovation can transform industry development, strategy, and ecosystems. And underpinning Huawei Connect is, clue in the title, connectivity, which is where the likes of Martin Craner come in. He's the Director General of the World Broadband Association, which exists to champion universal access to reliable broadband services.
At a conference a few weeks ago, I think I used the phrase, reliability may become the killer app for broadband. And as you offer higher speeds, what you then do is unleash a new set of potential applications. It's no longer HD video, it's 4K, it's 8K video, it's 4K VR or XR type of services, it's glassless 3D TV types of services. So as we increase the reliable, high speed, low latency, highly reliable broadband into certain markets, it's like you can visualize it as opening the gates for a new set of services to start emerging. And so
it's almost like the innovation and the speed and the development go hand in glove.
Absolutely. So I think there's never, ever been a shortage in the world of ideas for what to do with bandwidth, if it's available and if it's reliable. You know, high speed monitoring, high resolution monitoring of individual manufacturing processes through 4K video cameras being streamed in real time for predictive maintenance type of scenarios. In healthcare, it's well talked about, everything from remote GP services to robotic surgery. We're still a long way away from robotic surgery in all the conversations I've had. But we are seeing other types of healthcare scenarios being unleashed by having high speed, low latency, reliable broadband, where scans can be looked at in real time by AI at massive levels of scale. And then in automotive, we're seeing applications. In retail, we're seeing applications, particularly as we move to higher resolution location services within retail. And then in the home, it's really about entertainment services, gaming services, home security services, monitoring services. And one of the points that has only become obvious to me probably in the last 12 months is the fact that it's not just the demand of any individual service, but it's the aggregated demand of dozens, if not hundreds, of services within a home that give you the requirement for high-speed broadband. In the developing world, you've got a very different set of challenges, because the developing world, to a large extent, doesn't really have all that much of a fixed network. They leapfrogged fixed networks and went straight to mobile networks at 2G, 3G, 4G, and now 5G. And now they're realizing they're going to have to take a step back and start putting in
that core infrastructure.
That fixed network, fiber network, because if it's not in place, they're going to find themselves in a little bit of a dead end, only being able to rely on mobility. And even though mobility is getting better and better and will constantly get better, it still isn't going to be good enough for some of the services that we've talked about, for the metaverse and so on. And so we're seeing a strong push right across Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and so on, to invest quite heavily in rolling out fiber broadband networks in order to fill that gap.
And you referred to AI and the power of that to change things. Huawei this week is updating its sort of vision for the intelligent world 2030. What do you think the power of AI is going to be on enterprise scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've seen Gen AI throwing a rock in the pond of many, many businesses from a user point of view. Consultancy is the whole systems integrator consultancy world, the McKinseys and so on, are looking at this very closely, as AI, may well radically transform the types of staffing they need in the business, how they generate value for their customers. I mentioned healthcare before, but you can have the same number of GPs with a few AI diagnosticians who are then being, supporting the GPs. You walk into your GP surgery and it's a camera you meet that looks at the spot in your hand and tells you whether it's nothing or whether you need to see a doctor. It's that level of change that will impact everybody in the Western world.
And what's the impact on industries of this increased convergence between network and cloud infrastructures?
Manufacturing is an interesting one because the manufacturing industry is still very nervous about relying on technology for their core business. They want to keep everything inside the factory walls. They might want edge cloud inside the factory walls. I won't say they don't trust connectivity and cloud to be an integral failure path within their manufacturing process, but they don't. And so as cloud and network become more tightly integrated and more predictable in terms of how they're going to behave. For years, we've been able to scale up and scale down our cloud requirements at an instant, whereas we haven't been able to scale up and scale down our network requirements in the same elastic fashion. And that's now going to have to change, and it is changing. And I think we are reaching a tipping point, say, in the manufacturing industry, where if they can genuinely see that the network and the cloud are elastic and changeable in the same fashion, and that they are as reliable as the internal metrics they use within their own factory, then we could see a radical change in terms of how factories use data, use the cloud in order to produce, to manufacture products and so on.
So you've talked about that convergence. Is it happening fast enough for what industries want to achieve, do you think?
No is always the answer. Obviously, certain things are moving faster than the industry has ever needed or demanded or imagined. And AI is an example of that. But I think the speed of movement of the convergence of the network and the cloud is still moving a little bit too slowly for the industry. So we need to accelerate our activities in that area.